Well, hello, and welcome to another edition of Pray on This. After a small little sidetrack to talk about Ontario politics, I'm back with Trudeau election interference. I'm your host, John Prey, and as always, hit that like and subscribe button. Trudeau election interference. Well, here we are on day 14 of the biggest political scandal in Canadian history. Where are we at? Well, yesterday, the Prime Minister started to soften his stance, saying we have a working committee. We can use legislation. We can do many, many things, but a public inquiry won't work due to the laws surrounding national security and what's allowed to be released to the public. He doesn't mention he can change those laws. On the other front, we have the Trudeau Foundation now saying that they will return the $200,000 donation, as they had no idea it was from a foreign government, and I'm cutting through the baffle gab here, a pay-for-play donation. It's a nice way of saying, we got caught with our hand in the cookie jar, and we don't want to look bad. What does all this really mean? Well, I, and every reasonable Canadian, who is not deep in the progressive, postmodern ideology or part of the cult of personality of Justin Trudeau want to know is, okay, we know on the grand scale that the Chinese did not influence the overall outcome of the elections. But how many ridings did they make a difference in the results? How many sympathetic to China MPs or downright Chinese Communist Party plants do we have sitting in our House of Commons? We also want to know how much the Prime Minister knew, when he knew it, and what did he do about it. As it stands now, it's obvious. Trudeau was the target of the Chinese Communist Party before he ever became Prime Minister. That money was funneled to Trudeau through the Trudeau Foundation, and that Trudeau's Papineau riding in Montreal raised over 2/3 of its donations from Vancouver, from wealthy Chinese businessmen. Vancouver is 4,554 kilometers from Montreal. Why are they donating to the Riding Association in Papineau? Then, if we look at liberal government positions on China, when we compare the former conservative government's positions, there is a much more cozy relationship with the liberals towards the Chinese Communist Party. We also know that, so far, only liberal MP Han Dong has been named. By his voting record, we know that Dong has never voted against China. When Parliament voted on the condemnation of China for the genocide of the Uyghur people, Dong was president in the House for 3 votes on bills the same day prior to the Uyghur genocide vote and 2 after, but he left the House and did not vote on the bill condemning the Chinese Communist Party. That's very suspicious behavior. There is also the Prime Minister himself. First, he denied any Chinese interference at all. Then more information came out. Then he changed, saying he had no briefings any liberal had taken money or help from China. We know the rest of the story. It's been changing daily as more information does come out. We know now, and it has been confirmed by Trudeau's own national security advisor, Jody Thomas, is that the PM had regular briefings, has been kept fully informed, and his knowledge began before 2019 election about China's interference. So where does this leave us? Well, I will say that the loyalty of the cult of Justin is amazing. They drink the Kool-Aid and they fully believe Trudeau. They point to the report that was released yesterday that says that election interference did occur, but did not rise to the level of affecting the national outcome. They fully support that the report was written by Morris Rosenberg, the former head of the Trudeau Foundation. At the same time, China was making huge donations to that foundation as the gospel truth, as if God Almighty had decreed it. There's no possible way that Trudeau's influencing these reports, and all they are focused on is 3 Conservative Party of Canada MPs having lunch with a far-right but legally elected German politician and screaming that she is a Nazi and therefore so is the entire Conservative Party of Canada. It's obvious that Trudeau will never lose the support of his faithful, no matter what he does. He could fully admit his consent and complicity in this scandal, and they would still blindly follow him. As for the rest of us, we may get some small details. There may be some additional MP named who benefited from the Chinese Communist Party's help. But in the end, we're going to be left on our own. The NDP is no help. They're trying to play this from both sides. They want to paint both the Conservatives and the Liberals as the bad guys. So what do we have? We have a government report that says, yes, there was interference by the Chinese Communist Party in the 2021 and the 2019 election, and it affected a small number of ridings, but it did not rise to the level of full election interference, where they had to sound the alarm, and it didn't affect the overall outcome. Yet they didn't explain what that level of interference has to be. And really, if you live in the ridings of Don Valley East or Stevenson-Richmond East, we know that yes, your election was interfered with, because Canada doesn't have one election, it has 338 small ones. And we also know that now, a Chinese-approved MP is their MP. We know that the Prime Minister knew about the interference in both these ridings and that he did nothing. Nor has anything been done to stop this from happening in the future. We know for sure the Trudeau Foundation received a $200,000 donation from a Chinese billionaire that the CCP told that billionaire to make, and that they would reimburse him the funds. We also know that they told the same billionaire to make a $750,000 donation to the Montreal University, where Pierre Elliott Trudeau, Justin's dad, taught law after leaving public life, for scholarships to be made in the former Prime Minister's name, and $50,000 to put up a statue on the Montreal campus of the said former Prime Minister. And Justin unveiled that statue. We also know the current Prime Minister's memoirs have been printed and sold millions of copies in China. That's been done by a Chinese government-owned publisher. We know how Justin idolizes his father, but even more, we know Justin idolizes himself. The Chinese Communist Party and President Xi have done a great job of stroking the ego of the man-child, narcissist, cockwomble Prime Minister we currently have. So what is the conclusion that we must draw? Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, in writing of his Sherlock Holmes novels, stated, brilliantly I might add, when all other theories have been exhausted and proved untrue, what we are left with, no matter how improbable, must be the truth. It is very improbable that the donations to the Trudeau Foundation or Justin's Riding Association did not have an effect on him personally or the government that he leads. It is very improbable that after receiving such financial and political assistance from the Chinese Communist Party, that he would have stopped further interference in 2019 or 2021 during those federal elections. With the denials, lies, trying to sidestep, trying to call reporters racist for questioning him, and his general attempts to distract from this scandal, it is very improbable that he does not have a lot to hide. It is also very improbable that the Oversight Committee he personally set up to be the watchdog of elections and second to certify those elections, that they were fair, has the proper scope, directives, and reasonable metrics to actually report to the public when election interference is taking place. On the other hand, it's highly improbable that in a G7 country that the head of that government would accept and use and then try to cover up and get away with using foreign election interference to further himself and his party. It's not logical to think that that would be possible in 2023 in the information age we now live. But here we are. That's exactly what Justin Trudeau has done and is trying to do. In summary, there is so much smoke, you can't see anything and you can barely breathe. There is a raging fire somewhere. Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party of Canada are at the center of that party. When I look at the evidence that we already have before us, and I add to it how longtime allies like the United Kingdom, the United States of America, and Australia have cut us out of new Asian Pacific defense and intelligence alliances, how much they not only not want our opinion and our intelligence, but they don't want to share what they know with us. The nastiness of Trudeau's denials, followed by the utter silence from senior Liberal cabinet ministers like Chrystia Freeland, Melanie Joly, David Lametti, Ms. Anand, and Mark Holland. Those are the possible interim successors to be our Prime Minister if Justin Trudeau is forced to resign. I'm left with only one conclusion. After looking at every theory the cult of Trudeau has put forward to defend him, there's nothing there. Those are all lies. The fact that the usually friendly Canadian mainstream media are now hounding him on this scandal and they want answers. And that political hatchet men, Liberal loyalists like Warren Kinsella, are outright calling Justin dirty. Justin Trudeau is guilty of not only knowing about the Chinese Communist Party interfering in our elections, that they handpicked and he allowed those handpicked candidates of the Chinese Communist Party to stand and run in his party for election, but that he himself has accepted the Communist Party's money and influence to gain personally. This is a disgrace. Justin Trudeau must resign. The Liberals, if he won't, must get rid of him. And then they must submit to an election of the people to allow us to judge and decide just how complicit the entire party was. That, as always, is Pray on This. Join me again as this scandal continues to unfold and what comes of it. I, as always, will give my opinions. Again, hit that like and subscription button, and then I hope you have a wonderful Thursday, a great Friday tomorrow, and an excellent weekend. Goodbye for now.